Being 5:15, Tuesday, March 25th, I call the Economic Development meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call has been taken.
Yes.
Okay, I entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Make a motion. Second.
Motion is made by Bill, seconded by Tim. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. I would entertain a motion to approve the February 25th meeting minutes as presented in the packet.
Move to approve the minutes. Second.
Okay, motion was made by John, seconded by Dave. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we are up to public comment. Any public comment? Public comment. Seeing none, we will move on to the presentation of local child care initiatives by Child Care Resources and Referral.
Wonderful. So if you recall from our last meeting, I believe it was Tim Roberts asked to have a discussion or additional conversations about childcare availability in New London, what we can do about it. And it just so happened to be a great timing as Eric Olva from Child Care Resources and Referral came forward in the last couple of weeks and asked us to push on and provide some information on some of the initiatives that they have going on. So it was a great opportunity to say, hey, Eric, why don't you come in to our committee meeting and kind of give us some information about childcare in our area. We did have somebody from Child Care Resources and Referrals a couple of years ago, and I can't remember who that was, but it's a great opportunity to have some new feedback and some additional information about what's going on in the county, what's going on with CCRR, and I'm going to give it up to Eric. He's got a PowerPoint here that will get going here. All right, Eric, take it away.
So yeah, I just wanted to kind of give you a brief of what we do for Child Care Resource and Referral. So we are a local nonprofit agency. We help people set up child care, both group and family programs throughout our 8 counties of Calumet, Green Lake, Outagamie, Wapaka, Winnebago. And then our sister office does Manitowoc, Fond du Lac, and Sheboygan County. Our mission is to improve the quality and accessibility of early childhood and education. We are part of the state statute, so we do receive some state funding, but most of that work is done through local organizations that I'll get into later. Really look at supporting and enhancing early quality care and education system by providing resources, referral services to families for those families who are looking to access regulated childcare. And we help those childcare programs either with the quality of the program or upping what they want to do. So we are that resource. We have a state licensor or a pre-licensing representative in our office that has done a lot of work in Wapaka County, both for certified programs and licensed programs. Some of the services we offer is referrals for parents, tools to find that quality, training assistance for anybody who's interested in having childcare, both group and family. Are you guys familiar with the 2 different types of regulated childcare? So there's 2 different types of regulated childcare here in the state of Wisconsin. There's group, that's going to be your daycare center in New London, where it's more classroom based. And there's also family in-home care, where that's out of someone's house. With that, you see a lot more mixed age groups. That's a 1-to-8 ratio. And there's also a thing called certification, which is done through the county. It's another form of regulation, but it allows those grandparents to receive those county shares that are out there. for childcare, to provide assistance to those families that can't afford childcare. So that's done through our office as well. We do a lot of business startup services. We have a resource library in our office. We do a lot of email lists here to connect. We're that connection point. Anything childcare related. We have our hands locally in pretty much the whole aspect of childcare besides running the childcare ourselves. So, local funding sources are United Way, private contracts and donations, local foundations such as Wapaka Community Foundation, Fox Cities Community Foundation, and then Supporting Families Together Association is kind of like our state agency. There are 8 childcare resources referrals around the state of Wisconsin, and then that territory is broken up between those 72 counties with those 8 childcare resources. The program that I wanted to come and talk to you guys today, we recently partnered with the Wisconsin Workforce Development Area 5 and Forward Services for Roach's Success Program. This is a completely free program to anybody who wants to participate. There are some program requirements for it because it is through Wisconsin Workforce Development grant that they receive. So what does this mean? This means we can have people can participate in this program and become lead teacher qualified for a large group center, or they'll have all the education qualifications that they would need to start a family in a home center as well. And then that continued support after the fact as they complete the program. It's going to be a 2 days a week, 8 hours a day program for 21 weeks, or for a total of 21 days for 14 weeks. We're looking at doing it in person at Oshkosh. I understand that might be a barrier, but depending on enrollment, we might be able to satellite that someplace in Wapaka County as well. There's participate qualify for transportation and childcare assistance through Forward Services. So if transportation issue, Forward Services has offered to offer gas cards or pay for childcare for that for them to attend this training. What do I have to do to qualify? You have to be a resident of Calumet, Green Lake, Fond du Lac, Winnebago, or Wapaka, or Washara counties. Low income. This criteria is confirmed by Forward Services because they're that partner agency that we're using through Wisconsin Workforce Development. Negatively impacted by COVID, and all participants must pass background check. What the training covers, it covers CPR, AED, SIDS or sudden infant death syndrome training, adverse head trauma, and then mandated reporting for that health and safety trainings. And then it covers these 4 aspects of the fundamentals of what it takes to be in the field in the state of Wisconsin. So the intro to the childcare profession, that fundamentals of infant and toddler, strategies for childcare teacher, and then the fundamentals of family. So when they progress through this program, they will have all the tools that they would need to either start their own center or become that lead teacher. Additional trainings, again, Wisconsin Model Early Learning Standards, that pyramid model. So we're actually giving them the tools to deal with those behaviors that they see in the classroom, and then strengthening families through early care and education. We are doing a mentorship after the program because we see this as the program as, giving them the textbook skills, but enacting those skills, we wanted to have that mentorship follow through that. So that's why we're going to do that continued support with our support coordinator. Forward Services is taking all the intakes, and then we are running the trainings through childcare resource and referral. So we are putting them in, or directing them to Forward Services, and then Forward Services is getting them registered and taking care of those needs as well. This is a childcare landscape of Wapaka County currently. We just finished up a survey in February. So we currently have 13 group programs in the county, 10 family programs, and 1 school-age program running within the county. There is right around 2,500 children under the age of 5 in the county currently. In our current capacity, this is without those preschool programs, those licensed preschool programs, is 905. We have seen an uptick in the last 3 years, which I'll get to later. The capacity is growing. But my current fear is with childcare accounts. It's a subsidy that the state of Wisconsin is currently putting on. It's going to hit our rural areas the hardest because the subsidy is covering that quality aspect, and then they have a bonus portion that's supposed to go towards the staff. So we, as an agency, are trying to get the 470 million into the state budget, but depending on who you talk to in the Assembly or the Senate, it doesn't really sound like there might be a budget pass this year. There might not be a budget pass this year. And if there's no budget pass this year at the state level, we revert back to the old budget 2 years ago. So we currently have 136 children on a wait list. Again, this could be multiple centers with that same child on multiple wait lists. Okay, so take this number with a grain of salt. We have 3 group centers that are operating at a potential capacity due to staffing and classroom issues. 5 of those classrooms are currently closed. And then we have 2 group centers that are actually operating at full capacity. So out of the 13 group centers, we have 3 that responded to our survey, 3 of them, and 5 closed classrooms. Program schedules, again, we have 16 programs that open before 6 a.m. No programs that are open for second or third shift. Our average wage for our director right now in Waupaca County is around $18 an hour. But group program costs for employees, well, a lot of these programs are offering a childcare benefit to their staff to offset that childcare cost, is right around $800 per week. So on average, a group center is losing about yearly average. A group center is eating right around $48,000 every year with that enrollment of those staff. Childcare rates currently on the high end, we're right around $11,000. On the low end, we're for those 3 and 4 year olds, we're right around $730 a month. For the county, so if you put your infant in, you're spending right around $13,500 on that infant for a year of childcare, which is more than what it costs to send your child to public college currently. We're seeing a lot of, if childcare accounts goes away, we expect rates to jump between 10 and 20%, depending on the program, depending on how they have utilized those dollars for those childcare accounts dollars and invested in the program. This is the current trend over the last 3 years, starting in January of 22, going to the February of 25. At the top is the active childcare providers, and then that kind of second to last middle portion is the capacity. So we have built capacity in Waupaca County over the last couple of years, which is awesome. I know through discussions, there's talk, how much capacity are we going to lose after childcare after June? I don't know, because each childcare operates differently. Right now, I believe you have to have 100 to 150 children to make a 1% to 2% profit in the industry, just wherever you are. A lot of our programs, even the Fox Valley, are less than 100. So that really scares me, because it keeps on upticking with food costs, with transportation costs, insurance. There's only 2 insurers in the whole state of Wisconsin that will insure childcare, both business and in-home. These were the 22 Dream Up initiatives that both the county and Waupaca County as a whole had a Dream Up grant, and then the city of Waupaca, and they kind of lumped their money together, and these are the initiatives that they started up. Both the training and the pyramid model, which is continued, providing stipends for summer interns over the summer for that year, equipment and facilities, hosting the all staff retreat or professional development day. We did the conference last year here in Wapaka. This year, that conference is moving to Oshkosh. So we're trying to move that conference around our service delivery area to offer it to all of our providers. And then the recruitment support for family providers. Wapaka ARPA dollars that we received. We currently have 2 quality support specialists within the county. They are booked out, I believe it's 2 months in advance, to offer onboarding assistance, onboarding those new staff, coaching, mentoring, helping the director out. And then we had some startup grants that we were able to add to that supply. We had certified programs in 2021. We had 1. We had 2 in 2023. Then we had another one in 2024. 25. We're currently working towards a certification. And then she wanted the money for a fence, so we're going to help her with her fence. And then we had 3 group programs start up. Mother Goose had a fire, so we supported them through these dollars to help build that garage back that they lost. The lake started up in Wapaka, and then Victory Church started up in Wapaka as well. So that's where those dollars went as well. Any questions, concerns that you guys have?
I have a question. The average wage for the child care director at 17, whatever. So that's the head person.
Yep, that's the person running the center.
Okay. How much wonder there's a shortage.
Well, and that's the thing, like the childcare business model, you take in tuition and about 65% goes out the next weekly payroll. So how do you support a business model that you take in the money, but it's going out? So the only place that they can compress that business model is in the wage. So that's why they're making so little, because that's how they make the business model work, unfortunately. That's why childcare accounts has been such a huge deal. And I encourage you to contact your legislator and say, hey, we have to do something, because if we don't have a public investment into this childcare, we need another leg of the stool. Otherwise, the stool is always going to fall over, unfortunately. $37 gets invested from the state of Wisconsin into 0 to 5. $37 a child. And as soon as you hit that K-12 system, it goes up to $13.50, I think it is, $13,500. That's a huge discrepancy. If we could invest in the front end of that, we would even take a portion of the prison budget and feed it into earlier ed. That would definitely see a huge investment in the future. I think it is for every dollar you spend in early care, it's a $8 return. 90% of that brain gets developed between the ages of 0 and 5. So the way that child habitually responds to, not getting that cookie or social emotional skills that's learned is already engraved by age 3. So it would help the district out too immensely as well.
So programs like Head Start, that's federal, and it's only
Yep.
for people that are.
Correct. That's Head Start is a federally funded program, and think of all the stuff that your school district has, special ed, that kind of stuff. Early ed has some of that, but not to the degree that we're seeing, especially with COVID. Those challenging behaviors were definitely spiked, and we're definitely seeing that in the districts as well.
Eric, you showed some statistics for Wapaka County. If I can go back here. Do you know some of these resources that were in the county? Do you know how many that in the city of New London took advantage of those? And not to call them out, but.
Yeah, I know Daycare Center New London, there's someone there every week. I believe Robin, a quality support specialist, she's there every week. I want to say Robin's Nest is taking advantage of that too. Locally with new programs, I used to be a Youngstar quality consultant, but then that shifted into a partner up position. So I'm not quite know where the new programs are. Lisa Austin in our office, she knows where all those new programs are. But I just know with the ARPA dollars ending in December 31st, they're no longer gonna have access to Robin because the funding is ran out for that, for those ARPA dollars. We're looking at the county to move more of that funding forward, but at the same time, we're trying to, yep.
You know, in the beginning, there was, you said there was a newsletter you put out. Is that like paper or is that online?
That's online.
How do you get on the email list?
I can definitely get people on the email list. You can just, I have my card, I can leave a couple. And again, another big thing is just telling childcare stories with people because they've heard it from the businesses, they've heard it from our organizations like ours, but now they're saying they need to hear it from parents. So I don't know if they're just passing the buck around through the Assembly and the Senate, but I look at it as, okay, I gotta take away the excuses. So how do we get these stories out to these legislatures to say, hey, this is an issue? They know it's an issue, but they keep on playing that party politics too, so.
And then one of the opportunities that we have, and I think April talked to Eric about this, about the Babes Center, there's an opportunity for you know, turnkey operations with Babes that's available. So if anybody is interested in that, you know, we've got resources here with CCNR to for education and things like that. But we also have a building that is for sale, turnkey building that's for sale that could accommodate some childcare program. So that's something that we have going for us. But besides that, I mean, what else? A lot of this stuff is state, even county level, because the resources that they have to provide this. For a community our size, are you seeing any other initiatives or efforts at the local level that we could look at or consider to provide? Obviously, we don't have the budget to sit there and, you know, pump money in like the state's got, but what else could we do at the local level?
Local level, I mean, I don't work Fridays because I don't have childcare on Fridays. I can't afford childcare for my daughter who's 1. So even just looking at, you know, work schedules, simple things like that, offering, I have a thing for employers as well. I can forward it to Chad. Chad can do, just simple ways, you know, offering a dependent spending account. Simple ways like that go a huge way because that's tax deferrable money. I think they just increased it from 5,000 to 10,000 at the state. So there's multiple different avenues that the city can take advantage of, or local businesses can take advantage of. It's just getting them in the right hands and then having people take this issue on. It's like, it's for the kids. So it's.
So we can definitely continue on education or, you know, promotions of initiatives and programs and things. Are you seeing any businesses, corporations coming forward in the recent years to provide childcare? I know there was kind of an initiative a while back, but I haven't heard anything in a while. So.
Purveya and another major health system on the east side of the state just banded together, and they're actually looking at the ROI of, you know, if I keep 1 nurse, I save $2,000 with the ROI. So they've invested into a childcare center themselves and are running it themselves. Outagamie County is actually looking at doing that with a space across from Brewster Village because they can't get CNAs. So the county's taking on the building partner with the YMCA, I believe. So the YMCA is going to run it, but they're going to offer that employee just to the county employees. So it's definitely starting to take foot. It's just, I hear a lot of talk, but no action in that, to be quite honest. They're talking about Monash School District was actually talking about starting their own center at the old UW Oshkosh campus too, but they couldn't rally the community around it to get that off the ground as well. So communities are definitely thinking about it. It's just, how do they package that and sell it to the public too? I know in Clintonville, they have a district-run program as well. Even that program's struggling too. So and they had that district benefit of health insurance. That's huge. Most of our childcare providers don't have health insurance in their benefit plan, let alone, paid vacation for more than 2 weeks. So it's, because again, they can't support it through the business model. So it's one of those things that kind of gets left out.
Mhm.
Do we have any other questions? Okay, thank you for,
All right. Thank you for your time and
Thank you.
Great rest of your day.
Great, thanks, Eric.
okay. Next on the agenda is discussion of special event attendance report from the Wapaka County Economic Development Corporation's Placer AI subscription.
So I will continue that conversation. So as everybody, I believe, should know, we are a member of the Wapaka County Economic Development Corporation. All the cities and many other municipalities in the county is a member of the Wapaka County Economic Development Corporation. And the corporation recently purchased a subscription through Placer AI. So Placer AI is a program that allows, it captures cell phone data, cell phone information. So we all know our cell phones are tracking us and uploading that to the cloud. Placer AI is one out of many companies that can capture that data and then provide it to anybody who has a subscription for that to kind of show movements and attendances for things. So since we are a member of that, again, we have access to that program. So I took the opportunity of grabbing some data or requesting some data from the Placer AI program, and I just want to kind of present that to you because it's very interesting. So and again, what this does, from my understanding, it's not the phone itself, it's the apps that you have on the phone that are tracking and then sending it up and then selling that data, and it's going to the cloud and everything, like I said. So Placer AI takes that data. They claim they have an algorithm that extrapolates the data and can estimate those who don't have cell phones, those who may have flip phones, those who may not have the right apps, or even children. So they claim this is pretty accurate. I'm not going to sit here and bet on their behalf that it is super accurate, but there's a lot of organizations and companies using Placer AI for data. So luckily, when I ran some, or when we requested information recently, yesterday, this data wasn't available, but today it looks like this data became available for this weekend for Irish Fest. So it'd be kind of interesting to kind of see what the participation for Irish Fest was. Again, what the program does is you create what's called a point of interest. So you create a boundary, and we created a boundary around the parade route, so around Pearl Street. Get it on YouTube here. We created a boundary around Pearl Street and around North Water Street, and then also included where the tent was this past Saturday for Irish Fest. So this is the boundary that was created, and it tracked the data. Let's see, anytime from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on that day. And it was either that someone has to be in there for at least 10 minutes or 15 minutes. It's not somebody, if someone would drive through, they're not counted. They have to be there for a little bit period of time. So at least 10 to 15 minutes that someone was in this area during that time frame. And you can see that we had over 11,000 visits that day on Saturday. Some of this information, like if we would do say there was a week-long event at a location and we would run the report, the visits are how many times people came, but the visitors are static. So if a visitor came 5 times, they would be counted 5 times in their visit. But since it's one-day event, the visitors and visits are going to be pretty much the same. There's some other data in here, the average time that those people came and they were here. So 80 minutes was the average time. I'm not going to pretend I know all the other data. I was going to look up what these YOYs are and things like that. But it's just kind of interesting to see that this program is saying that we had nearly 12,000 people at Irish Fest this weekend. a bunch of other data that we have in here. It shows the traffic route, the main traffic routes where these people are coming in. Obviously, it makes sense that 54 and 45 and 15 were some higher traffic routes that people were coming in for that time frame. Here, it shows where people are coming from and where people are going. Now, some of these things are kind of difficult because, you know, like El Patron and, well, let's see if any of these were. Yeah, actually, all these are outside that parameter. So, you know, people must have parked over in Pfeiffer Park and then walked over, or they, you know, were at Quick Trip first, or looks like the Water Supper Club they were at first, or El Patron. So these are some of the areas in Associated Bank. They must have been at the banks for some reason, parking in that area before they came to the event. And then it shows where people were going. Looks like Hup's Irish Pub was the #1 place where people ventured out after the event that day.
Imagine that.
Here's another interesting statistic. You see all these little boundaries. This is where everybody came from. And I don't know why the colors aren't showing, but before it was showing the colors and the density of people coming in. So you can see that, you know, people were, you know, coming from northern Wisconsin and Rhinelander and O'Connor and, you know, over by the western side of the border and down south into Janesville and Kenosha and Milwaukee. So this kind of gives an indication on a map where people are coming from, and also, you know, some of the top visitors. So obviously New London was one of the top visitors. Wapaka had over 600 people, Hortonville, Appleton, Neenah, Clintonville, Menasha, Manawa, all these different zip codes were showing, you know, estimating how many people were coming from those areas. It also gives a little bit of insight in household income. Don't ask me how it's capturing this data, but it must know that most of the people are in that, you know, $60,000 to $125,000 household income range. So it's giving us some demographic information like that, and then, you know, just demographics of what nationality people are. Let's see what else we got here. How many minutes people were at the event? So you can kind of see most people were, you know, like I said, the average stay was at 80 minutes during the. I'm not sure what the places are, but this might have been within the zone. Looks like most of these are within the area. So just some interesting information from what we can get from Placer AI. I did request and get what our numbers have been for the last, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. The data they have is from 2017. So that was the first year we could collect data. And you can see we've been averaging anywhere from 11,000 up to 15,000 people or visits for the Irish Fest event. So what I did was I kept the boundary the exact same, and I just changed the date. So those were the information that we requested to get this information. And I was talking to April about it, as I was like, I was surprised that, you know, last year was more, but you made the comment that, well, this year was spring break for the school. So was there quite a few people out of town and out of this area? Is that one of the main factors that the numbers were a little bit lower for this year? Very interesting. Some of the other data that we got and was requested for that. This visit trend was an interesting piece that we got. This piece of data shows from March 1st for a year through February 21st, basically, what the average attendance is in that boundary. And you can see, you know, it just joggles up and down about, you know, what, 2,500 in a day. But you can see easily the spike from Irish Fest and what that does, how many more people that brings in to Irish Fest or to the downtown compared to what it normally sees throughout the year. Let's see what else we got. We got Winter Wonderland, the chamber event. So Winter Wonderland was on December 6th, and I ran the report, or asked for running a report from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Again, same similar situation. It was just a report that we requested for the parade route, and also included where the Santa Land was and where the Reindeer Boogie was. So that's why you have these little nodes that kind of stick out from the parade route. So the chamber brought in about 1,500 people for the event, which is really cool. I think the other cool thing was just kind of see where everybody came for the event. So you see a lot of people obviously in the city, but I mean, Chamber was bringing people from Sturgeon Bay, which is really kind of cool. Let's see what else. Anybody got any questions as I kind of go through all that?
You posted all this, or is this your- You know, is there something you can put this out? It's kind of fun.
We could
information to
post it.
know.
I think it's more important to sit down with the organizations that have these events so they know. So obviously the chamber has access to this and, we can take that. I wouldn't mind going to the Shamrock Club, one of their future meetings and just kind of showing this information. Because I mean, I've heard stories that, Irish Fest brought in anywhere from 10,000 to 30,000. Well, nobody knows. Well, now we got some interesting data, to kind of show how many people are coming in the community, where they're coming from, and the trends. So I wish I would. I think it was like that 2012 where there was 80 degrees. That when Irish Festival was really warm. I wish I could go back and get that data to see how many people came.
Way too,
Yeah,
way too many.
but it looks like the data we can only collect from 2017 on at this point. But again, it's a program that Wapaka County Economic Development Corporation has access to. We are a member of that, so we have access to request some of this information. We could use it for future events and other things. So,
Yeah, that's fascinating stuff.
mhm.
I requested the information when we were determining whether to move Fall Fest back from Warner Allen, and the data showed that in 2021, last time we had Fall Fest, we had 1,200 visitors downtown, and when we had Fall Fest down Warner Allen, we had over almost 5,000. So you can see a clear difference in the location.
Can you request one for that May festival that we have?
What's that?
Can you request one for the May festival that we have?
Absolutely.
I'd like to know how many people she actually brings.
Yep.
I was thinking the same thing. It would be nice to know those different events. What is tourism bringing in?
It also helps sell the city too. If you're putting big spikes every time you have an event here,
Mhm.
you might get more people to have more events.
Well, and I was thinking about the billboards too. Strategically locating on some of the billboards based on the data of where people are coming from. Making sure that we're putting the blip out there.
I'd like to run it for youth softball, youth baseball tournaments. See what people are coming in for those. I mean, we're obviously spending money to support these organizations with, in our parks. We have these facilities. What's the return on that investment that we're spending the money on? What type of draw are we bringing in? Obviously, they're running the event, but we've got a lot of logistical support behind it. So
Right.
that helps justify that we're
Oh,
spending
yeah.
money in our parks and our facilities to do this.
It's nice to show sponsors too, if they're hanging a
Yes.
banner, this is how many people
Yep.
are seeing your banner.
Absolutely.
That's some really good information you could use.
Here's one more that I was kind of looking for. This was for Winter Wonderland. And again, you saw the one graph that showed the month or the year and then the spike for Irish Fest. This is one for Winter Wonderland. So you can kind of see for the month of December what the average usage was in that area that we defined for downtown, but then the spike, for how many people were drawn in just because of that event. So,
That's pretty cool.
April, did you say that you went from 1,200 people to 5,000?
Almost 5,000 people on Warner Allen. Well, we tripled the amount of vendors. It fit way more on Warner Allen. They're like 117 downtown and now it's at 300. So I think that was huge. Plus the fun zone tripled in size, so I think just all of that impacted the traffic.
any other questions?
Have any at this point? Anybody else? Okay, thank you for that. Very interesting and useful information.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have updates and reports next. Business updates.
April, you plugged in?
Yep. Just a couple updates for the committee since we met last month. I learned that we have, the Wapaka County Sheriff's Department is under construction right now. So the different departments are being placed in different areas during the construction. So we have temporary placement of the UW. Wapaka County Extension is moved into 111 West North Water Street, which was formerly IQ Resources. So they're going to be there for 2 years. We found out that QPS Employment, they have had a location in New London and also one in Appleton, and they're having a hard time staffing the location in New London. So they've decided not to renew their lease as of May 1st. So we are losing a business and we have an office that is available. So please spread the word. And then just a reminder, we have a ribbon cutting for Huckleberry. They've been closed for the majority of the winter to do some renovations. They have a grand opening coming up this Friday. And we'll be doing a ribbon cutting for them at noon. The commercial listings, I think the biggest update here is we learned on the day of the parade that Hilby's is sold. So after 47 years, Terry Hilbert is officially retired. So we have a local owner that took over Hilby's in the North Lanes. I believe they are taking over as of May 1st. So excited to see that. What else was new on there? I think I reported to this committee that the Wolf River Plaza slashed that price down up to $950,000. And then Chad had also mentioned, I shared the 102 North Ridge Drive, our turnkey child care center with our child care rep in the Fox Valley. Any questions for me?
None at this point. Okay. City administrators report, Chad.
All right, give me a second here to get my screen back. All right, bunch of different things going on. We heard back from the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. If you remember, last year sometime, we had Wapaka County Economic Development Corporation come in and we proposed writing a grant to the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. The grant was for $250,000 to help. It was a small business development grant. Our proposal was to use those funds to help the facade or help a business improve the building of a historic type building. We kicked in $50,000 matching funds to hopefully sweeten that application to the state. Unfortunately, we were not awarded that grant from the state. There was only $2 million available, and it sounds like there were many, many applications. So it was a very competitive grant, and unfortunately, we did not get that grant, or the Wapaka County Economic Development Corporation was not awarded that grant. So our $50,000 will stay in our reserve fund so we can use it for future initiatives. Unfortunately, some more news. About 4 months ago, I received some information from New North, and I don't know if anybody knows what New North is, but New North is a regional, 18-county regional marketing and economic development corporation in our area. Their job is to bring in businesses and attract businesses into Northeast Wisconsin. One way they accomplish this is by sending out RFIs. So they send out these requests for information, RFIs, to municipalities. Basically, they have an anonymous business that is looking at this area, and they say, hey, Northeast Wisconsin, we are looking for a site that has either so many acres or a building, existing building available that has so many square feet, or has rail accessible services and things like that. A lot of times these RFIs, we don't really qualify. A lot of them are looking for existing buildings that are vacant to go into, and unfortunately, which is a good and a bad thing, we don't have many vacant industrial type buildings that are available in our community. However, about 4 months ago, one came across my desk that was looking for a location in between the Fox Valley and Stevens Point with a specific distance from the Wapaka Foundry. And this one really caught my attention. That was like, okay, this one we're actually eligible for and can be very attractive for. So we submitted a proposal for that. The proposal was for we actually didn't have enough land in a block for it. So I teamed up with Jeff Hanschke, who has land next door, and we together put in a proposal for, boy, how many acres was it? I think it was for 50 or 60 acres. And it was for a good sized company. They leave it very vague. They don't tell you who it is, but they just give you some statistics of what they're looking for. But it was a lot of jobs, and it was really attractive. Cool thing was we made it to the second round of information, so we were requested more information, so we provided that, and I was kind of excited about it. But unfortunately, I heard just recently that we have not made the final cut for that request. So just an example of some of the things that we're doing to try to lead people into our industrial park. This is a great resource for us that New North puts out, that we can find out businesses that are looking for locations to prosper in our valley, in the Fox Valley or in Northeast Wisconsin, and we'll continue submitting proposals that we qualify for. We also have an internal marketing coordination group that meets monthly. It's between the city, the school, the chamber, and a few other organizations like Foro Hill. And we brought in somebody from Rawhide recently to just kind of talk about our area and just coordinate some marketing type things. One of the things that Ginger brought up most recently is she suggested, well, why don't we look at updating our tagline or our saying for the community? In the past, I know we've had drop your anchor in New London or downtown New London. Most recently, we've had reflecting the pride, but we've used that for a long time. So Scott Black actually suggested at the meeting, maybe April, or have Katie Hopkins, our marketing coordinator person, go to the school and maybe work with the students and getting some ideas. What are some ideas for maybe a new tagline from New London? We could use them for the banners that we got downtown. We could use it for other new and updated marketing type things. One of the ideas was maybe get a bunch of ideas from the school district and then put it out to the community for people to vote. Obviously, I think that would end up at this committee for final recommendation for the council, but something that we're working on internally to just another aspect for marketing purposes in New London. Applications for grant writer positions have been received. April, I, and Scott Black have been reviewing those, narrowing them down. We've had some interviews already, so we'll continue that process. Hopefully we'll be done in the next couple of weeks with that. And then in your packet, you will find the March Wapaka County Economic Development Corporation Municipal Report. And then I just put, please note the interesting data that they're using with the Placer AI data that he submitted in his report. So just check that out. That's all I got. Any questions?
Do we get any information for when we're not approved? Like, so once they opted else, did they give anything as far as, was it employees and anything?
I actually reached out to Barb at New North and I said, I haven't done a lot of these, but this was one that was, I thought we were really qualified for. And I said, what can we do better in the future? And she came back and said, your proposal was great. And even with the information we provided and how we provided it, someone from the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation made a comment to the company pointing out how willing we were to work with them to bring them to New London. So I asked her, was there anything else? And she's like, no, what we did was spot on. So to your point, I did ask, I wanted to see, were we light on something? Were we, could we improve on it? But we'll continue to try.
Well, that's amazing because many times first things don't happen in business. I've seen a lot of things change.
Yep.
That's what I said when he told me about it. It was like, well, we'll see what happens when it actually is finished.
We'll continue.
So-
I think Hans has a question in the back.
How much information do they share with you? And how does it help you tailor your bid, so to speak?
Mhm.
I mean, if they're not giving you all the information you need, does that hamper you in some way?
Yeah, let me see if I can find the original information that we were provided. We are not giving any information about who the company is, and we have very general information about what the company is about. All right, so
It's not a binding process, is it? I mean, what if you
No.
found out afterwards that it's like, oh my God, this isn't something you want here?
correct. If it's like a nuclear recycling center, we actually have option of declining. But like for this project in particular, it was coined as Project Falcon. They said it was a $67 million capital expenditure, bringing in about 103 jobs. They were either looking for a 200,000 square foot existing facility Or they wanted at least a 75,000 square foot facility that they could expand into the 200,000 square foot, or a greenfield site. They were looking for 25 to 30 acres. I couldn't remember exactly how it was. But then they also give us information about utilities. So they gave us information about, how much electricity they're gonna need, what the spike startup are, natural gas, water, wastewater. So, I worked with Jay at New London Utilities. Could we accommodate this? We talked to Ben at wastewater. Can we accommodate this? So these are the type of general information that we're given. Other than that, that's pretty much about the gist of what they're doing. I basically got out of this that it's some type of manufacturing, and it did say that they wanted it within so much distance of a Paca foundry. So you can kind of put two and two together to kind of come up with some things. But other than that, we don't know the company. This is what they give you.
When you do that, they tell you about how much waste they got or anything.
How much wastewater?
Yeah.
They'll say,
That's a disposal plant to be able to take it.
yes. So when I talked to Ben, it says their their average usage in this particular case, they were going to discharge 512 gallons a day of wastewater. So not a big wastewater producer by any means in this particular case. Some other ones, yeah, they're using a lot more water and a lot more wastewater depending on the production. Obviously, Wolt Cheese up there is using a lot more water, wastewater in their production. Whatever they're producing in here is not a big water and wastewater producer. But yeah, those are all questions. I've had other RFIs come through with major amounts of electric need. And I've gone to Jay and said, can we accommodate this? And he's like, well, we've talked it out, and, and they weren't even projects that we were probably going to be attracted for anyway. But yeah, I go to Jay and Ben and everybody and say, okay, are these type of things that we can accommodate?
Okay. Any other questions for Chad? Okay, we're going to review potential agenda items for future meetings. We've still got the hotel feasibility study on the horizon, transportation updates, more childcare updates, housing updates, agreement for land sale with Northland Electric.
Mhm.
I'm assuming that is still being
Yep. That's
hashed
in
out.
process. I expect that sales agreement to be coming to the April meeting.
Okay. And the April meeting date, the last Tuesday of the month is the 29th.
Mhm.
And
And I'll just throw it out there. I know Belinda and I talked. I kind of made the suggestion that in the future, it doesn't have to be the April meeting, but somewhere down the road, if the committee would want to entertain the idea of changing the Economic Development Committee date to the fourth Tuesday instead of the last Tuesday. And the reason being is, and this is probably more for the older persons who are coming to many meetings in a month. If you would go to the fourth Tuesday of every month, what we have is that first week, we have the Board of Public Works, Parks and Rec, Finance and Personnel Committee meeting. Then we have a week off of meetings. Then that third week is the council meeting. And like in the month of April, we have the fourth Thursday where we have Plan Commission. And traditionally, we have the last Tuesday for economic development. Hypothetically, if we move to the fourth Tuesday, then there would be months that alderpersons and staff would have another week off if you're planning vacations or things like that. So April's a perfect example. We have the second week off, but we don't have any meetings. If we move to the fourth Tuesday, we would have the last week of April off as another full week off of no committee meetings. So just want to kind of throw that out to you. Hypothetically, you could change the April meeting to the 22nd, like we've done that in the past. And if you want to have that as an agenda item at the April meeting, we can talk about permanently changing that to the fourth Tuesday of the month. Just throwing it out there for discussion more than anything.
Yeah, and we would have to do an actual motion to change it because it's an amendment, isn't it?
I don't think that one's an ordinance. The council
not
one's
an
an
ord-
ordinance, but I think
Okay.
you would want to get buy-in from the committee as if
Okay.
you're gonna permanently change it, I think it's a good thing to make it a motion.
Okay.
And it wouldn't happen every month like May, it's not a deal, but I think July was another one that you would have, the last week off of committee meetings.
Okay, so do we want to do the 22nd or the 29th?
Second.
I would make that motion.
Second her motion.
Okay, motion made to move the meeting to the 22nd of April,
Who made the
by
motion?
April,
April and then Tim.
seconded by Tim. Any other discussion?
I think I'd like to also see it on the agenda for next month to change it permanently.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
I
Any opposed? Okay, we will meet on the 22nd and have it on the agenda.
May I make a recommendation for one of the future speakers, just a recommendation for that transportation update? I know Wapaka County, that $3.1 million grant that they received. It's gonna be running out at the end of June, and right now all they're talking about is how they're gonna sustain that. I don't know, I don't remember last time we had Jeff Porsky in here to talk about that Wapaka County Catch a Ride, but maybe that would be a good idea to bring him in.
I forgot that was running out. Anything else?
was having corned beef and cabbage at Hilby's last week on Thursday.
Mhm.
And they let me know that they had just sold that day or whatever, and I was like super excited. But they also said that there was a gentleman that sold a camper and he got paid with all counterfeit bills. So I just wanted to let everybody know to keep an eye out for counterfeit bills.
Yikes.
That is yucky. Okay. Okay, so next we're going to move to closed session per the following statutory exemption. 19.85 subsection 1 subsection E, deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session regarding the property in the Northeast Business Center. Those invited to stay for the closed session are the Economic Development Committee, the Common Council members, Mayor Mark Herter, City Administrator Chad Hirth, and Derek Buss.
Derek, the one that just stepped out.
No, that wasn't him. So we need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Dave, seconded by April. Any further discussion?